Hi, everyone. This is Lauren Baker from Search Engine Journal. Welcome to today's SEJ webinar, brought to you by our partners at Conductor. With me today, I have Patrick and Luiza. Say hi, guys.
Hey, everyone.
Hello.
So, Patrick, you're in the New York area. Am I right?
That's right. I'm on Long Island.
Okay, great. Luiza, how about yourself?
Yeah, I'm connecting from Cyprus, the beautiful island of Cyprus.
Nice. So we have we typically have an international crowd as well. So for those of you that are just coming into the webinar, please let us know in the chat area where you're coming in from. Are you on the East Coast? Are you in Central America? Are you in Canada? Are you near Luiza and Cyprus or whatever it may be? So please let us know. We really encourage all attendees to interact within the chat area. But if you do have any questions for Patrick and Luiza during the webinar itself, please feel free to ask them in the Q&A box. After the presentation is over, the presentation should take about 35 to 40 minutes. Then we'll be doing a live Q&A session where you can have your questions answered as well. And today we're going to be talking about maximizing AI visibility, how to win mentions and citations in answer engines. So this is great. Very, very relevant material. Looking forward to the presentation. And just one more thing I wanted to say before our guests get started is that underneath the slide, you'll see some emojis as well. So, as Patrick and Luiza are presenting, please feel free to support them with some smiley faces, some confetti, some hearts, raise the roof, whatever it may be. And on that note, I'm going to take the back seat to you guys and let you move forward with the presentation.
Awesome. Thanks, Laura. And everybody, once again, thank you so much for joining us today. Just to give you a little bit more background on Luiza and myself, just so you know who you're talking to and why you should care about what we're saying. My name is Pat Reinhart. I am the VP of Professional Services and Thought Leadership at Conductor. I've been in the SEO space for over 20 years and looking forward to chatting with you today. Luiza, how about you?
Hi, everyone. I'm Luiza Shahbazyan. I'm one of the senior product managers at Conductor. I spent years in the SEO industry before joining Conductor. I was at Searchmetrics, a Germany-based enterprise SEO platform. So I've seen firsthand how search has evolved, shifted, occasionally spun in circles. So at Conductor, I lead our work on keyword insights and most recently the transformation from SEO to AEO. And like all of us, I am learning every day because this year, some things are changing so fast that we don't have time to document them. And some things seem determined to stay exactly the same, no matter how smart AI becomes. So back to you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Luiza. And again, this transformation has been really exciting. There's a huge opportunity that has been created by AI. And so I'm going to start off by talking about that opportunity. And I think one of the biggest things that we all have to recognize is that we are living in a two-channel world right now, right? You're probably reading, I know there's a lot of people here, but you're probably reading a lot of articles, a lot of doomsday commenters out on LinkedIn and social media, saying that SEO is dead. You shouldn't pay attention to it anymore. Put all your focus on AI. And that's not really the right way to think about it because one kind of goes, hand in hand with the other. But what I will say is that even though that traditional search is still important, we do have this tremendous opportunity with this emerging channel in AI. And as it takes over, more and more of that search market share over the next few years, we want to make sure that we position ourselves to capture that opportunity because over the next, and a lot of people said, this is going to take 10 years. It's going to be a long time. Yeah, it's not going to be that long, everyone. Over the next 18 months to 3 years, at absolute maximum, we are going to see customers making purchase decisions, interacting. We already see it today on these AI surfaces, right? And that's something to take into account, right? And if you do not adapt, you will disappear from visibility, because people aren't just going to be searching on Google, right? Yes, Google is still the elephant in the room, but that is probably a short-lived, title for them. But ultimately, people are searching all over, right? People are searching on Reddit, they're searching on Quora, they're searching on YouTube, they're searching across all these different, areas, which is not new. But the newest thing that they're searching on is AI services like agents like ChatGPT, Perplexity.ai, Grok, Claude. And if we want to show up there, we have to make sure that our content is visible because everybody, What's the biggest difference between traditional search engines and how you can gain visibility and LLM discovery? It's that you cannot buy your way into visibility like you can in traditional search, right? So anyone that's been in the SEO industry for, any amount of time, I would say, unless it's been like literally 6 days, going in and having a conversation with someone about, it's like, hey, need you to spend money here so we can create content. And ultimately we will rank higher in a traditional search engine. Now, when you go into a CMO or a CFO in that conversation, you ask, okay, well, like, what's going to be my return on that? That's been a bit of a foggy conversation over at least my 22, 23 years in this industry. And it's, a lot of times where it lands is, well, can I just buy that visibility, buy it through paid ads? And while the answer is probably like, you shouldn't just do that, the answer is yes, like you can technically if you have enough money. So that makes that conversation really difficult, right? The coolest thing about AI is that is completely not the case, right? Because there really aren't many ads or any ads when you look across most AI surfaces, right? What they are surfacing is the actual content on your site and your actual expertise. So that's something that you have to recognize, right? Is that in the old world, you could buy visibility. Yes, SEO is important, but AEO in this new world, in LLM visibility, this is all about the content you're creating. It's all about your brand authority, and it's all about your expertise. And to kind of, keep pace with all of this, right? We have to understand that AI, the way that AI search operates is vastly different than how traditional search operates, right? In a traditional search engine, you're pretty much going, what has Google been trying to do over the last 30 years? It's been trying to semantically relate a piece of content to a query that you put into its search bar. That is in its most basic form what it is. And from there, what do people do? They optimize to keywords. They, they start to stuff. And there's a lot of different tactics that go into that, which we're all, I'm sure, very familiar with if we've been in the SEO space for a while. But in AI search, it's really about matching meaning, right? Because an LLM does not operate necessarily as the same way as a search engine, right? Like I always say, the LLM is like a ball floating in the middle of the ocean, right? And it has its own model that if you ask it a question, it's going into that and it's understanding, okay, I know I know and I understand what this is, but there are many times where it doesn't know the exact answer and it doesn't like its answer. And it's listening for hums all over the ocean, right? And what does that mean? What it really is, it's listening all across the web. It's looking for experts talking on Reddit or people arguing about it on Reddit, because that's usually what people do. It's looking for people answering questions on Quora. It's looking for people, who have content on their websites. It's looking for transcriptions of videos, for images that are all related. And it's bringing all of these things together to answer a question, and that prompt is vastly different than a query that exists in Google, right? Now, if you take an example, right, the average length of a query in Google is 3 to 4 words. The average length of a prompt in ChatGPT, just using them as an example, is 23 words, right? So when you think about that, the difference between putting in something like, let's say I was trying to buy a new office chair. What would I put into Google? I mean, in Google, you would say comfortable ergonomic office chair, right? Right. That's where you would start your journey. And then you would iterate on that over time. You would move down the funnel and ultimately make it to your destination so that you could buy something, right? Or you could have a lead, you can talk to a company. Now, if you go into ChatGPT, what would I say looking for the same type of product? Just using this as an example. I would say, I'm a 43-year-old man with lower back pain that sits in front of a computer for 10 to 12 hours a day. I'm looking for a new ergonomic, preferably comfortable office chair that is cost effective and I can pick up in the store later today. That is a very different query, isn't it? Right? A prompt, very different because you're talking to it, right? And there's a lot of different intents in what I just said in that 23 plus or minus words, right? What did I say? I gave my age. I said I gave some medical advice about myself, but I also said, yes, I was looking for a chair, but I was also asking for cost. I was asking for recommendations. I was asking to pick it up in store later that day. All of these different things happened in that one prompt. So that's that funnel that we are used to in traditional search where you start and then you iterate your way down. That's all happening in 1 to 2 prompts, maybe 1 to 2 interactions. And so that funnel has been squished, and you're just getting all of the informational, navigational, and all of that type of information pretty much at once. And then you can make your decision. Now, when you take all of that, you say, okay, well, there's a lot more intent stages now, right? Like most products, like our own, historically, what have people been used for intent stages? They've used informational, commercial, transactional, and informational, right? Or some mix of that. Slightly different between products, doesn't really matter. But ultimately now I'm talking about, I want to be educated, but I also want to do comparisons. I want a cost analysis. I want recommendations. Maybe I want to buy something. I want some support, et cetera, et cetera. So there's so many more of those. Now, when you take all of the personas, and that's something that's really going to have its day here is persona analysis, and optimizing to the persona. When you take that and you multiply it by the amount of intent stages, you enter a world of infinite prompts, like infinite variants of prompts, right? And a major question that I get all the time is, Pat, what is the MSV or monthly search volume of a prompt, right? And to be real with you, everyone, the answer, since everything is so hyper-personalized, is probably 1. It's probably an MSV of 1. And there's an infinite amount of that, of the example I just gave. Think about that, right? Like there's so many different variants. There's so many different questions. There's so many different ways you can talk about an office chair. But that's true of everything. So when you take all those intents and you multiply them by all the different personas that are going to be created and all the ones that already exist, you have an infinite number. So when we're thinking about how do I optimize for that, right? How do I stand out? One of the biggest ways is that you can position yourself as a trusted and partners or a partnered source, right, to these LLMs, because they're getting asked billions of questions. And actually, it's not even just one question. It's snippets of questions, like within each prompt, right? And they're looking for all these different opinions on, God, like what should I send back to this guy about this office chair that he wants? He has a lot of different factors that are boiling in here. And at the end of the day, what you have to recognize is that, this is not about link authority, right? This is about brand authority. And how do you build brand authority? You use your expertise and you create great content. Now, the difference here is that I am not just talking about writing articles on your website. I'm talking about having content everywhere. People are having conversations about your brand everywhere. And when you think about that, and when machines become, the primary arbitrator of content, for lack of better words, right? All of them are looking for the best answer to give you. And it's not just about showing up in ChatGPT. It's about showing up still in Google, but also on Perplexity, ChatGPT, Gemini, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all of these different surfaces. But then there's another layer, everybody, because what is ChatGPT? It's just an agent, right? And what you're seeing right now, I'm sure everyone tuned into OpenAI's, live event. I think it was last week, where they announced Agent Builder. And Agent Builder is basically, just for anyone who doesn't know, is a very easy way to build an agent to do something for you. It's basically a bot, and then that bot does things for you. But it's kind of a plug and play thing that you can do. And from there, you have to recognize that, people are going to be building agents for everything, right? There's going to be agents for travel. There's going to be agents for shopping. There's going to be agents for jewelry. There's going to be agents for beauty. There's going to be agents for literally everything. And if you want to be there, and when people ask those agents, those specific agents, those questions, if they are relevant to your industry or to your business, what are you going to want to do? You're going to want to show up on all of these different surfaces, because those agents and LLMs are pulling from all of these different sources to prove that you are the source, you are the trusted source, right? That you are the person that understands that particular subject the best, or you and a few others. And it all comes down to increasing the amount of high quality content. but you have to think more at scale. You can't say like, yeah, I'm going to write 10 to 15 articles a year, and that's my content strategy. No, when you create those 10 to 15 articles, how are they translating into social posts? How are they turning into, how are they turning into short form YouTube videos or reels, right? Because when you think about that, traditional search, content quality and content quantity, you can pretty much get away with being on the lower end of the spectrum and still making your business work. In AI, everything is moving so quickly, right? And I love this quote here. Why does AI cite Reddit about 30% of the time? It's not because it has the high quality of content, it's because quality content is scarce, and that is the only place it's kind of finding it, right? So if you're failing to adapt to this new, kind of content marketing strategy, then you're going to get left behind, or you're going to remain invisible to these LLMs. And I can tell you right now that yesterday's content process is not going to work, right? This is actually something that Bain and company did an analysis that they did across a bunch of enterprise content teams and like time to publish, like how long it took them to get things onto their website. 5 to 7 weeks, and this was across all different types of content. 5 to 7 weeks, 6 parties involved, 6 iterations, 8+ tools used. This is nonsense, everyone. Like, this is just absolute nonsense. And again, if you want to gain more citations, more brand mentions, you have to have a better process. And you have to understand that you can't take 6 months to update a title tag on your site. You can't take 6 months to create a video. You got to be able to move. You got to be able to put things out there, see if it works, and iterate, right? And a lot of the ways that we're thinking about this at Conductor is how you measure that, right? Oh, and I'm just going to go back one. Sorry, double click there by accident. But if you want to take a screenshot of a slide, I've actually shown this slide at many conferences I've spoken at this year. This would be the one if you care about the metrics, right? Because this is how we're thinking about it. If we're telling people create all of this content across multiple platforms and understand how your brand is being spoken about, you have to understand the different user intents, and you have to understand your personas. If you don't have personas, use AI to build them. It is okay to use AI. AI is a very powerful productivity tool if you know how to use it and you use it responsibly. If you just go to ChatGPT and say, write me an article about running shoes, that's not the right way to do it. Go understand how to, kind of be more of a prompt engineer and build these things out. But understand your personas, right? If you don't have them, build them. It's much easier. I come from the agency world, much easier these days than it was 10 years ago when I was at the agency. And then some hard metrics, right? Brand mentions and sentiment, right? Talk about, think about, it's not about rankings. Like, you're going to hear a lot of people out there tell you, well, we know like your position in AI. That is absolute nonsense. You can ask the same question to AI over and over. It'll give you a slightly different answer. But there's no such thing as like ranking number one in like an AI response. It's just, were you mentioned or were you cited? Do you have the brand visibility? And what is that? That's really share of voice, right? That's your market share percentage within a particular topic. So stop thinking about rankings so much. Again, traditional search rankings are what you measure. For AI search, think about your overall market share of a particular topic that you care about. How often are you mentioned and cited in that, right? And then a couple of others before I pass it off to Luiza. I'm sure everyone's sick of hearing me talk by now. But really understand AI crawler traffic. And I am not talking about referral traffic. That's the next one. Like, referral traffic is what comes from ChatGPT, Perplexity, et cetera, et cetera. But look at AI crawler traffic, meaning how often are bots coming to your site? Log file analysis, right? This is another thing that's going to have its day here. People are going to have to learn how to do this. You can do this very easy in Conductor website monitoring. But ultimately, what you want is bots to be constantly coming back to your site and pinging it, because that means they're retrieving that data and then chunking it out back into the answer to the user. So you want AI coming back to your site all the time. And the cool part is, some analysis we've done, there is ways to see dead zones on your site with this. And then, of course, outside of that, organic traffic is still important, everyone. Maybe it's a little bit more directional these days, but it's still important to understand. And ultimately, the conversion metric is still king and queen, right? Like, that is what everyone's driving towards. But that's what's happening in the industry in our POV. That's what we believe you need to do to get there. But also, there are technologies out there that can help you understand this. And I'm going to pass it over to Luiza now to talk a little bit about how we help people do that.
Thank you, Patrick. So let's focus on the two key visibility metrics: mentions and citations. A mention is when AI refers to your brand and product by name. There is no link, you are simply part of the conversation. A citation is when the AI uses your website as a verifiable source for its information, the one that it provides in the AI response, often with a direct link or a footnote right back at your website. Think about it in the following way. A mention makes you famous. A citation makes you the authority. You need both, but you optimize for them in a different way. So let's start with fame. Optimizing for mentions is about making your brand a known quantity. You're building your reputation so that AI considers you an indispensable part of the conversation on a given topic. So this is your top of funnel brand building strategy. So when do you focus on that? You focus on mentions when you want to build, first of all, brand recall. You want people to see your name over and over again. Imagine a startup project manager asking the AI, what are the most popular project management tools? The AI responds, common choices are Asana, Monday.com, Trello. Even without a link, being on this short list is a massive win. Your brand is now in the consideration set, purely because it's part of the cultural zeitgeist for that topic. You also optimize for mentions when you want to become a category leader. The goal is for your brand to be so tied to a concept that it's impossible to talk about the subject without naming you. Think about the following. You can't ask AI about CRM without mentioning Salesforce. You cannot ask about inbound marketing without hearing back about HubSpot. They are the category in the AI's mind because they've dominated the conversation for years. And finally, you need mentions to show up in all those important recommendation prompts. A frequent traveler is ready to buy. So they ask, what are the best noise cancelling headphones? Or rather, they ask, as a person who travels 5 times per month from New York to Tokyo, that wants to sleep half of the time and the rest of the time to listen to good quality music, what kind of headphones I have to buy? And the AI doesn't invent an answer most of the times. It synthesizes dozens of reviews, articles, and forum discussions. The reason it confidently replies top contenders are Sony, Bose, Apple AirPod, is because of the sheer volume of mentions of those products that are across the web. So to be part of this answer, you need to be in those discussions. So how do you do that? And the answer is, it's not our traditional SEO. It's about generating buzz. It's through PR, getting into news articles, fostering conversations on social media, encouraging a mountain of positive customer reviews, as Patrick mentioned already. So those bots are crawling all services, collecting information about what's important for the user. So in essence, you're shifting from just creating content on your local website to a PR, community engagement, and brand marketing. So you're not anymore trying to rank for a single website, with a single website, for a single keyword like best noise cancelling headphones. You are trying to make your product so synonymous with quality in that category that any intelligent synthesis of the web will include it in the answer. But famous, of course, is just half of the battle. What happens when the user's query is not about opinions, but it's about facts? Then you need to be the authority. Then you need to be in the citations. So optimizing for citations is about establishing your website as the definitive source of truth. You focus on citations when your goal is to drive direct traffic and conversions. So the citation is the actual pathway. So imagine a potential home buyer asking what would be my monthly payment for a loan of, let's say, $600,000. Then the AI will provide an answer and they could give an estimation, but they would probably say something like, according to the bank rate mortgage calculator, you will get, 4,000 and change. So this little footnote or link to bank rate is a golden ticket. It's a high qualified tool, one step away from using bank rates, tools, and services. You also focus on citations to establish verifiable expertise, or what Google calls it. This is the ultimate signal of truth. Imagine a health-conscious user asking, what are the scientifically proven benefits of omega-3s? So the AI needs to provide a trustworthy answer. So it might say something about like they're good for reducing inflammation, for the health of your heart, and then cite a detailed report from the National Institute of Health or a comprehensive guide from Healthline. That citation tells the user that the user and to the AI, that this information is not just an opinion. It's a verifiable fact backed by experts. And critically, you use citations to own a specific answer or a solution. Someone is trying to make a spreadsheet. They ask, how do I perform a VLOOKUP in Excel? Then AI is giving the steps. But a lot of times when it is about something more complex, AI is actually pointing to a specific tutorial, for example, from Zapier. So you just become the go-to source. You're not just an opinion. You are the source of the answer itself. So how do you get citations? Again, slightly different from what we are used to. You are creating citable assets. And this means publishing original research, industry reports with unique data, and the most comprehensive, in-depth guides on the internet for a specific topic. We've never had more information online, and yet AI is still hungry for information. It's hungry for clarity, for depth, and for the concrete answers that these users are searching for, the ones that are giving their age, their health problems, their way of life, and they expect a hyper-personalized answer. The more targeted your content is, the more value it delivers, it's more likely to earn your citation. So the natural next question is, okay, so what do we do about that? And understanding the difference between mentions and citations is one thing, but turning this insight into actions requires a framework. It's not simply about doing SEO or PR or more content. It's about structuring your efforts and looking systematically both inside to understand your capabilities and outside to understand the market. So, to truly understand the market, you need to understand the conversations that are happening on AI search engines. But unfortunately, there is no keyword planner for Perplexity, no MSB. And honestly, with where it's a long tail conversation of queries, I totally agree with Patrick, right? Why MSB even makes sense. This is the old playbook. The modern approach is to leverage the LLMs, their vast training data and powerful pattern recognition to do empathy at scale. Start by defining your personas, their intents, and the topics that they care for. From there, AI can help you surface the most relevant questions people are asking. No gimmicks, no guesswork. It's just smarter listening at scale. And because I'm a product manager, I really can't help myself but show you the product. This holy trinity, persona, topic, and intent, is built into our platform from the ground up, right? It's not an afterthought. It's actually a fundamental part of our infrastructure. So from the moment you as a user come and start setting up tracking of your website and your brands, you define the topics, you target the personas, and you define the intents that you care for. You can see, depending on your initiative, depending on the campaign you're running, you can select one or more of your personas. You can focus on one or more of the intents for those personas. And the most important thing is that this affects the prompts that we generate and the data that we collect. So every insight from now on is filtered through the lenses of who you're talking to, what you're talking about, and why it matters. And when it comes to reporting, there are 3 critical types of market insights that can help you benchmark your performance. The first one is, of course, market share, understanding how your brand and website compare to the rest of the market. Then you have the brand sentiment that helps you understand how your brand is represented, because it's one thing to show, it's a different thing to show in a positive light. And last but not least, we help you also identify which are the prompts, also by persona and intent, you appear for and for which you don't. So you understand which conversations you own and which conversations you don't own. And equally important, the insights we are providing you help you understand what AI says about your brand, positive and negative, including the sources it relies on to form that understanding, which in turn helps you understand which commonly cited sources overlook your brand, pointing to new opportunities to win fame. Now, to build authority, you need to look inside. And we built just the right capability for it. So our AI topic maps analyze your website the way large language models see it. So we read the content of your millions of pages, and we group them by true semantic meaning, using topic cluster, using vector embeddings to map your content in the semantic space. So you can see in my screenshot that each circle represents a topic cluster, and you can see the AI-generated summaries, which represent the content of the pages that belong to this cluster. We show you what the cluster is really about, but we also show you where you have topical authority and where gaps exist. So this saves you an enormous amount of time and effort of tedious content audits, and helping you identify and prioritize opportunities for content creation and optimization. So in the first version of our product, we use traditional search signals, like rankings and traffic, but we are already working on overlaying insights from AI search. So you can move from simply producing content to strategically engineering it to win authority and credibility. Okay, so let's bring it home. Mentions are about fame, the breadth of your reach, how far your name travels. They are earned when people talk about you across the web, on social, in forums, in reviews, when your presence echoes beyond your own channels. Citations, though, are about authority, the depth of your expertise, the trust you've earned while sharing your wisdom. They come when you put that wisdom to work, when you create high-quality, focused, concrete content that answers the real specific questions that your audience is asking. And if you're looking for a partner to benchmark your mentions and citations and to uncover new opportunities, grow your fame, and strengthen your authority, we at Conductor are here for you. We provide you an end-to-end solutions that help you see it all, what I shared and beyond, and also take a confident step to build in the new era of AEO, GEO, or whatever you decide to call it. Thank you. We're ready to take questions.
Yep. Well, thank you very much, Patrick and Luiza. That was a lot of incredible insight into First of all, I love the prompt answer. Like, how many prompts? Yeah, how many prompts? What's the search volume on prompts? Blah blah blah. And you're right, it's one, very personalized, very up to the individual. Just like focusing on prompt topics makes quite a bit of sense. So, enough from me. Let's go through the questions that have come through. First question is a tracking question, right? So, where should our audience begin from a tracking perspective in this transitional world from traditional search to this new exciting AI?
Yeah, I mean, I think from my perspective, it's, just start with the basics, right? Like, I think monitor your brand citations and mentions, understand where you are across, and listen, like you can go to a lot of technologies, and even in Conductor, you can track across multiple engines, but I would start with ChatGPT and probably Perplexity, or maybe even Copilot in AI mode, just to understand, like where your brand is at. And then and I would also start to really, from a technical side, like the log file analysis piece, and whatever technology you use, is to really understand how AI bots are interacting with your sites, and if they are actually, if they're going to the content that you want them to go to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think don't forget about your personas, right? Like your personas, your audiences, they have different maturity. Some of them feel comfortable using Google. Some of them are more advanced. They're more open to experiment with other surfaces. So yeah, that's critical. Also, geolocations play a big role. There's not like a lot of AI search engines have differential popularity across the globe.
Got you. Next question is, I think we got into this a little bit, but should people still focus on their traditional SEO campaigns? Is SEO still relevant during this new era?
Oh my God, yes. Like, everyone, please. Google still gets 260 times the amount of activity on a weekly and monthly basis than ChatGPT does. It's still very much where a lot of your traffic is coming from, but yes, AI is a part of all of that. Again, the AI piece is the opportunity we should all be, focused on. And again, like, I've spoken to more C-level executives in the last 6 months than I have in the last 6 years. And, that's something that shows you, like, this is such an amazing opportunity to have a voice at a bigger seat at the table, because they're talking about this stuff in the Wall Street Journal, right? And that doesn't happen that often. So yes, traditional search is still very much important, but they're kind of two different things that are intertwined right now. But don't just trash what you've been doing from a traditional standpoint all this time, because a lot of what you're doing in traditional search will help you in AI search. You just have to think about it at a different scale.
Speaking of C-suite, spent years going over things like impressions, clicks, CTR, return on investment, and everything else on the director, manager level, VP level. But then one thing I found is that the ability to influence or even appear in AI results blows the mind of the C-suite, right? Like that's how you can get a win. Just making sure the company name appears, maybe people on the executive team appear when someone's doing searches. So it's almost like, for some folks, it's like magic when they see it happen.
Yeah, and it's like, an AI will grow. It will grow exponentially over the next couple of years, right? But I think we're going to live in this kind of hybrid 2-channel world for a reasonable amount of time, and I think it's just take advantage of both. Like, there's opportunity in both. Take advantage of both.
Absolutely, and a lot of the core fundamentals of SEO do help on the AI side. Next question is, how can I identify my competitors in AEO and answer engine optimization?
Well, you can do it manually by yourself, right? Like, so you can define your personas. Again, super important. Define the different intents that you want to focus on. Then you can use AI to help you with that. Really does an amazing job. There is a lot of data there. And then you can start doing prompt by prompt on the different services that you want to track it. Or you can use tools like ours that we do the job for you, and you will see the reports. And you can actually focus your time on analyzing and turning insights into action instead of gathering data.
Nice. The next question, we've kind of talked about this a little bit, but this goes back to traditional SEO and keyword research, and then the changes in keyword research moving forward, right? Because obviously people search differently, not just in Google where you get AI overviews sometimes in regular listings, but you're asking questions, you're having a conversation. So how does that influence the future of keyword research moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it goes back, and Luiza had shown that visualization of what looks like a bubble chart, but it's really just a 2D representation of a 3D embedding space, like how LLMs look at content. And I think keyword research is just going to go from keyword to topic, right? Like it's going to be about topic clustering and really understanding. And I said this before, like what is your your market share within a particular topic, and I think that like monthly search volume is still a great proxy for demand, right? Like it's still a fantastic proxy for demand right now. But to me, and Luiza, you tell me your thoughts on this. I think it's going to be, hey, it's not just about like, I want to rank for these 5 to 10 keywords. It's, I want to own this topic, right? And this topic is, and you're going to need tooling to understand that. But Luiza, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe also that MSV can be a really useful signal, but there is no shortcut anymore to understanding your audience, to understanding their pain. You have to listen to your audience, and you have to try to address what they care for, and you have to be very specific. So you cannot like keep it generic. You have to actually meet people where they are. And I think this is where keyword research will become more of an audience research, of understanding the needs of the people that you want to reach. And then you'll be able to do so. So you cannot just like go to those lists of keywords and pick a few, and then you start like just put them on a content and hope that it will become more visible.
Yep.
Nice. Speaking of keyword research and content planning, one question that comes in from Lori is, what is the best way to identify the root prompt when there are so many variations in the fan out?
Dude, I don't think that, again, like, I don't think there's such thing as like the root prompt. You know what I mean? Like I would like, what's your definition of what the root prompt is? Is it just the first one someone put in at the beginning of a certain journey? I assume that's what they mean, but I don't think that's the right way to think about it. I think it's more about understanding, like Luiza was saying, it's like, what is the question or the problem that they're trying to get a solution to, or a product they want to buy, or a service they want to, or just a question they want answered. And I don't think that we should get like, this is an opportunity to not get like so like locked in the weeds of, hey, it's this very mechanical thing where we're looking for, because all that is a silver bullet at the bottom of a rabbit hole that no one will ever find. It's really more about thinking about, like, you have to think bigger about this, like, about the entire topic and all of the topics that are being hit on within a particular like group of prompts, right? And that's why I think like the new tooling that's out there, and again, like we work for Conductor. I've been working for Conductor for 10 years. Yes. Do I wish every single person here used Conductor? Of course I do. Do I recognize that not everyone uses Conductor? Of course I do. That's totally fine. I get it. But ultimately, whatever you're using, I guess is the point I'm going to, is that make sure that you can understand the clusters of topics that you are showing up for, because it doesn't really matter what the root prompt is. It's just more about how visible are you in areas you need to be visible. I don't know, Luiza, what do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, we're not talking about matching keywords anymore. That's why we don't care about variations. We don't care about like slight differences in the meaning. As long as you are addressing the same intent and the same need, you should be good to go, right? Like, and optimizing for that.
Thank you. Next question, a little bit of a different topic, is, have you seen advertising within AI responses yet? Do you think ads are going to start coming in the AI search?
So I've seen it in Perplexity. I know that they have some kind of model, but I read an article the other day that says they don't make any meaningful, money out of it. I think it's just more. I think everyone's testing right now.
Right.
I know that Google is pitching companies because our customers are getting pitched. They're pitching ads in AI overviews. So let's all just get ready for that. In AI mode, there's been some tests that have already been done. That many people have reported across the industry. Which again, that's going to happen, right? But one thing I don't think you're going to see ads in ChatGPT, right? I think that they're going to be creative of creating some sort of model with publishers. Number one, where publishers win and they win. Sam Altman has been very open about that, and Microsoft has actually said in Copilot they want to have a model where publishers get paid for how much they're crawled and shown, so that it's more of a fair market than it's been, my God, ever. ChatGPT, just launched the integration with Shopify and Etsy, where I think a lot of e-commerce, what you're going to see is we're all going to have MCP servers set up one day. And what we're going to be doing is feeding data directly into these models. And when you're looking for a toaster is just going to pop up when you're typing, and you're going to buy it right there. And OpenAI will take a piece of that sale, or it'll be a little bit more expensive because you bought it there, and they'll just take the piece that was a little bit more expensive. And I think you're going to see a lot more there's going to be a crazy affiliate market that is born out of this, and like a lot of weird stuff, a lot of weird tests out there, which I can't wait. But it's going to be a lot of testing right now. But I've seen mostly tests. That's what I've seen.
And let's leave it to the affiliates to break the system.
Oh, 100%. Just wait for, you think stuff is shady now, everyone. Oh, you just wait.
Speaking of the Shopify integration, I was reading up a little bit on the agentic commerce protocol that's been launched by GPT, which is right there. It seems like it opens up that the purchase partnership to everyone. And it really reminds me at the end of the day of Merchant Center, right?
Yep.
Where Google already has a jump, with their feeds and everything else. This is totally, theoretical, but what are your thoughts on, product integration into these results, not just from GPT or Perplexity, but also on the Google side?
No, I mean, like everyone, like Google is going to win this race, no matter what anyone says. Like ChatGPT, everyone has to remember, Sam Altman does not give a crap about search. Sam Altman cares about achieving artificial general intelligence. That is what that's what OpenAI, the whole project, is about. The AEO thing is somewhat of a byproduct of that, but it's an interesting one, and it's one that he is embracing, which I think is cool. Like, he's embracing this, and the company is embracing it because they're like, oh wow, there's a whole community out here that, well, we're really impacting. But also, like, I truly believe that he understands that. And he wants to, he's going to continue to be good to this industry. Google is, the minute that they integrate all the stuff that they already have, that's going to be lights out for a lot of these other models that come out. But then what you're going to have is very specific agents that people build, and people build for themselves to do things. And so Google is still going to be this mammoth thing. It's not going to go anywhere. ChatGPT, I think, is going to be good to the industry, and it's not going to go anywhere. But I think when it comes to like e-commerce and product, like Google's going to run away with that. I think, although I like Perplexity's Pro experience, right? But it all comes down to, will people pay $20 to search without ads? And that's the big question.
And what's the common entry point, right? Like, I don't have a GPT phone, but I may have a Droid phone.
Yeah,
I have a Chrome browser, right?
Yeah.
So.
And I don't know what an agent is. I don't even know AI exists, and we're all being forced into this. Like, there are so many people in this world that have no idea that every time they use Google, there's something with AI there, right? And we all have to remember that people use AI for a lot of different things. They do use it to search. About 35% of all searches or prompts going through ChatGPT are search-like, but people also write code in it. People write content. People talk to it because they're lonely. There's a lot of different use cases for AI.
Absolutely. So speaking of not knowing much about AI, what do we know about LLMs.text? Are these AI tools and actually utilizing LLMs.text Have any of them confirmed it? Is this something that people should invest their time into adding an LLMs.txt file to their site?
Luiza, do you have thoughts on this? No. So this one's interesting because it's a suggested protocol, right? It's just like robots.txt. It's a suggested protocol. It will not hurt your site to do it. Go for it. You want to build one, you can build them very easily. They're very easy to build. And you can put it on your site and it will do probably absolutely nothing for the time being, right? Because it's not an accepted protocol. Now, will it eventually be accepted? Most likely. Most likely, this will become like a standard. Like you should have a robots.txt file on your site. For traditional search engines, this is going to be, you should have an LLMs.txt for LLMs. But right now, the only benefit I've heard of from any study is that it helps guide internal agents. Like if you've built an internal agent, it can help guide your internal agent, but it's just not an accepted protocol yet. And which Laura here just said, that's all it is. It's a suggested protocol. It is not a accepted one. So when that happens, but if you want to get ahead of the game, put it on your site. It doesn't take that long to build, and it's not that you can get generators for it. WordPress and like all the big CMSs already have plugins for it, but it won't hurt you. But I don't think it's going to help you too much right now.
So thank you for that. And the next question kind of touches upon, to a degree, the affiliate comment made earlier. So can we trust AI-driven recommendations when they're influenced by commercial data, partnerships, or affiliate and ad-driven listicles, such as sites like Bankrate or Healthline or whatever it may be?
That's an interesting question. Luiza, do you have any thoughts on that? You're in the data all the time.
Can we trust? Well, we know that LLMs have biases, right? They're not like super intelligent, right? They're as intelligent as the data they're fed. And a lot of this data is biased. We've known a lot of the biases over the years. Commercial, definitely. The partnerships that certain platforms have, biases, what they're showing as a content to the user. I think this is part of our of the need of us to have this literacy, right? As Google is not also like completely objective, as it tends to go like extreme. Once you change your views, it's adapting with you, and it's sometimes like completely going into the extreme direction. Is the same with the LLMs. We have to be critical of the information that we consume. I know that it's very tempting because they're answer agents, right? So they are supposed to like answer your question, and the mental process stops there. But we shouldn't accept it. Yeah.
Yep.
It is interesting. It's also interesting that a lot of the sites that were not penalized, but their search visibility was impacted by the helpful content update. A lot of them are listed as resources and sources now on the side of the overviews, which is hilarious.
I know.
Next question that comes in is, what AEO tactics would you recommend for startups? Usually companies that don't have a big budget for PR or, getting their brand mentions out there or whatever it may be. What are some like just basic tactics that you would recommend on that side?
Yeah. Again, a lot of it, like the big overarching ones for me is increase your content production. Don't be afraid to use AI to create content. If you like upskill yourself to learn how to be a better prompt engineer, if you can't bring in a technology, like you said, understand startups can't go out and spend $25,000 on a technology, to do this for them. But that doesn't mean that you can't go to, you can't go and learn yourself, like how to build a really good prompt. Like our prompt to create a title tag, Luiza, I think it's like 9 pages long. Like, it's crazy. Like, like in our writing assistant, like to write something, it's like 45 pages long. Like, those are some serious prompts. But if you're just trying to get like your thoughts out there and you have a really good study or something, it's like, don't be afraid to use AI, but be afraid if you don't understand how to write a good prompt. And then it's just technical health. Like there's a very high correlation that we see with technically healthy pages and pages that show up, in LLMs more often. So like those are the two things. Like if you do that, that's a really good place to start. And then just monitor your brand mentions and citations and see. And if it's going up over time, you're rinse and repeat, right? But a lot of it is not like I wish I had some really sexy thing to tell you, but a lot of it is really what a lot of people have been doing all along, which is content, like high quality content at a higher rate, that is somewhat new. Because like high quality content usually takes a long time to create, and good technical health. Like make sure your site is crawlable, accessible, make sure the bots are actually getting there and seeing stuff. Though you'll get farther with that than with any shiny object, tactic that you read about on LinkedIn.
Yeah, absolutely. And, with the risk of sounding tacky, just put your wisdom to work, like to the benefit of the people. Put it out there. I know like a few months ago, we made our knowledge base public. It's been amazing. Our people are using it. Our customers are using it. And it's not just a promotion of our platform. It's actually helping people figure out how to do their job better.
Yeah, share your expertise. Because, that's the best thing you can do.
Absolutely. And Luiza, that was not tacky at all. That was a golden nugget of information. So great recommendation on that side. We have a couple of minutes left. This question kind of adds on to what we were discussing about content. So traditionally in SEO, there's been a huge focus on on-site content, right? But what are your recommended strategies to tackle new content from an AI search standpoint versus traditional search? You guys have mentioned Reddit and Quora and other, third-party discussion forums that we know are training these AI models. Should marketing teams be more engaged? And what is a way to do so? Without playing whack-a-mole, trying to reply to every Reddit thread with a link or whatever it may be. That's not going to go anywhere. What are your thoughts on that, bro? On that stage?
Yeah, I talk about this a lot actually, and it is it's about what AI has really done was just speed up something that was already happening, which was what I call like the great diversification of search, right? Like people are moving off of Google and onto other surfaces and asking questions and having conversations elsewhere, right? YouTube, short form videos, just like Reels on Instagram, TikTok. I don't know how people search on TikTok. I'm in my 40s, but people do it. Go answer questions on Quora when they make sense, right? Have a Wikipedia presence. Do it the right way so you don't get banned. And yes, Reddit can be a very volatile place, but it can also be very valuable to you as well. One example, if you want to see a company that does Reddit really well, it is Sonos. Sonos is a sound system company. And they have Mike from Sonos and Keith from Sonos that are in their subreddit. And they also go into other Reddit, of subreddits where people are talking about them. And all they do is troubleshoot. And they have rules. They don't get into fights. They don't talk about money. They help troubleshoot. And all they're doing is sharing exactly what Luiza just said. They're sharing their wisdom. They're just sharing their expertise to help people out. And then they move on. They're not trying to sell you anything. And that is what I think people have to get used to. Is that if you're going to spend the time to go and share like a piece of content or your idea on something or an answer, you may get absolutely nothing back from it. But Sonos, to this day, my buddy Alex runs their SEO campaign. He says it's like one of their biggest referral sources every year is Reddit. They get a lot of very valuable action off of it.
Excellent. I'm going to look that up right now and see if there's any do you know of any articles that discuss Sonos's participation in Reddit or anything like that? That would be a really interesting read.
Yeah, I don't think because they really don't talk about it a lot. It's just something they do. You know what I mean? Like it was just in Seth, our CEO. We just had our conference C3 last week, and he was talking about it in his. We were talking about it in one of the panels. About, and Alex was actually sitting in the audience, which was funny. And we were, and they don't really talk about it a lot. They just do it because it helps their customers.
Nice. And I like the rule of no fighting. You don't want to have
don't get into fights. Like when Reddit started to shoot up in visibility in Google, I was like, Google's going to be really good about arguing about The Bachelor if they're ingesting that much content from Reddit.
All right. Well, we have a couple other questions. Just to let you folks know, if your questions were not answered, we're going to be shooting them over to Patrick and Luiza, and hopefully we can get those together along with the recap where we will be sending out the slides and the videos from today's webinar. Patrick and Luiza, thank you both so much. And thank you for the team at Conductor for making today's webinar possible. Where can our attendees and our readers find you online?
Yeah, so I'm probably one of the easiest guys to find at Conductor outside our CEO. You can always reach out to me at Reinhart@conductor.com. I also do a monthly webinar called 3030, which is actually my 10-year anniversary is tomorrow. I've been doing it for 10 years. So tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern. If you like my rantings and my musings, that's where you can find me. And on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. Lisa, how about you?
Well, I would advise not to use L. Shahbazyan to reach out to me. But you can reach me at product@conductor.com, and of course on LinkedIn, visit our website, try out our product. And we're happy to answer any of the questions you have.
Great. Thank you so much to both of you. And just to let our attendees know, our next SEJ webinar will actually be happening tomorrow. AI and SEO, 5 essential tactics to be seen and trusted on this new platform. So please go over to the Search Engine Journal, find the webinar, sign up, and go ahead and sign up. But Luiza and Patrick, thank you again so much for today. It was a great learning experience. And thank you to everyone, all 256 of you that have attended, that are still with us, made it through this past hour. Thank you very much and have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.